But this one's staying after school for an hour today. Just my son, not the other kid. Next time he's mom. Hey, listen.
And we are live here on Omi's Organic Broadcaster, and we are talking about Harriet's role player who's playing her in the Harriet Tubman story. I'm a little bit concerned because she isn't an African American who has been through slavery or knows the history of slavery. I'm not sure if she could very well play the part because she has not known the African experience. But I will say that Harriet has got to be someone that is definitely powerful in the area of struggle. And it looks like this young lady has gone through life with a silver spoon in her mouth. And I'm not sure if she knows about slavery or knows the history of slavery. So I would think they would have better turned this particular show out better by selecting an African American, someone who could do them justice. Now, I know that a lot of people are talking about boycotting the movie. I would like to see it to pass my judgment on whether or not she's a good actress. Then, secondly, whether or not she knows the history of the struggle of slavery. It seems like everybody is determining for us, um, and they're not using good Kujichagulia and letting us name and define for ourselves. We have been in a position where they keep coming up with these slave movies and none of them really depicting us. Now, I understand that there's also a discrepancy in the storyline where they actually have a black um, slave collector who is supposed to be hunting down Harriet, and there were no black slave men, no black men who were hunters of the slaves that I know of. So is that something made up and put in the movie? And if so, will it distort those who are going to be viewing it? Now, we must really, really realize this is not a fantasy. They're claiming that Harriet's life history really happened. Then let's tell it like a TI is and not something that's made up and put together to depict black men as another another disgrace to society. I think the Caucasian man has really got to let up off the black man a little bit and let up off of them to let them tell their own true story. Because Big Buck was he was busy involved in impregnating women to produce children. He wasn't out there with the master hunting down anybody that was a slave, runaway, or resurrectionist. He wasn't out there, and that's a lie. And we've got to be truthful when we do depict these stories. It is not a nonfiction. It is based on, it is not a fiction. It is based on a nonfiction. So why are we carrying it to a fairy tale level? I'm a bit concerned because a lot of African Americans do not want to go see it. They want to boycott it. And a lot of African Americans are up in an uproar about the whole thing. But if Had was here, Had have a lot to say about this situation. She'd say it's not in order and it's not protocol to go and depict something that never happened in the movie. Now, you know Had wouldn't fall for this. Had fall for a lot of stuff, but she may have to go get her pistol on this one because she ain't going to fall for all this stuff that's going on. That's not right. It ain't right. It just ain't right. Missy know it ain't right, and you know it ain't right. So what must we do? Have discussions like this. Put it out on the table. Talk about how we do not approve of something. And also talk about the fact, let us tell our own story. Let it come from our perspective and our viewpoint. Let us be able to discuss with ourselves who we would want to play that part And if we were not too shy, we could offer up some plays in the local community about how the real play should be directed and how the real Harriet should be able to come across the screen. Now, I'm a little bit concerned because I've been playing Harriet, and you know what? In my psychic consciousness, I know how Harriet must have struggled. So I can put myself and channel myself in that motion at any time. And I believe any black woman could that has been involved with the African American struggle of slavery. But questioning whether or not a Nigerian lady who's never known chattel slavery, only servitude slavery, I question whether or not she can do it justly. Now, I understand she's a good actress and she's coming across the screen as a real, genuine individual that can act. Now, is she telling the story of Harriet? Is she acting to the point of the designated background of Harriet? Or is it some made up story and flawedly put together by incorporating other characters in the story that never existed? Now, poor old John was back there at the master station and even told Harry he wasn't going. He can't go because he can't wade the water. He even told Harriet that. So why would we go and put a black man in a position where he is out looking for, he's a bounty hunter out looking for stowaway and slaves? How could that possibly be when we would even let Big John ride on the wagon with other men who were going out looking for slaves? They weren't able to go. So most of the time, they were the ones that did the beating when they came back from this runaway, but they were not the ones that were out there looking as a bounty hunter, an independent contractor at that. How can somebody be so foolish to put an independent contractor, a bounty hunter, in the movie and make him black when most blacks were still coming up from slavery? It was far too soon. They pitched that particular part in the story a little too soon. And they were premature in putting that in. And if Harry would see the story, she would say it's told that story told all wrong. It ain't told from my perspective. I know. And it's told all wrong. And who are these people that are making up their own story to make it look like a white man came to the rescue and he's the hero after all? In all of these black movies, they're making the white Caucasian man the hero. And it can't be. This is our story. And we've got to be the one to put the twist on it and let the story be told. Let the story be told, white man should stay out of it. He has no professional skill at coming in, depicting a black man as one of the bounty hunters. Those black men were carpenters. They were working at home as blacksmiths. They were not going out with the master to look for stowaways or runaways. Where did that come in the story? And how is it that they can explain that away? Now, I'm sure Harriet's people are going to be very upset to find a Nigerian lady that don't know the struggle or the perspective of slavery, don't understand what chattel slavery is at that, to come forward because she's an actress, stealing the opportunity away from an African American who there are many actresses that are available, stealing it away to give it to some other person who is lacking the understanding of women in a struggle here in the United States in the diaspora. So there's a lot of talk about this, and I'm sure you knew I was going to have something to say about this because I am one of Harriet Tubman's channelers. I channel Harriet Tubman. So as a one-woman show, I study the woman. And when you sit down and study someone, you know exactly how they feel about certain situations. You know what I mean? But we can't go around making up scenes in the story that have never existed or never transpired. We can't go around doing that. We just can't. And Harriet wouldn't put up with it if she was here. Let me see if there's anybody over here in my say so area. And let me say hello to them. Hello. This is Yaomi. And if you'd like to join me, you certainly can. You can come on in and give me 2 thumbs up. And if you, what did we do here? Let's go back. Where are we at? Wait a minute. Let's see here. Where are we at? Oh, God, they had me in my African outfit. I was getting ready to wonder what has happened to me. I've changed up and put on another outfit. All right, we're back. Thank you so much for joining me. And I am your illustrious host for this evening, and I am here defending the great almighty Harriet Tubman. And I'm a little perturbed. I won't say angry, and I won't say mad, but we decided to add that new word, perturbed, about the selection of the character that played Harriet Tubman's part. Now, I understand that the movie is out already. Let me see what's going on over here. Go ahead. Put that out there. Okay. Let's say, welcome to the show. Welcome to chat. Hello. This is Yaomi. Maybe they'll say something. I am a little upset about the young lady who is playing Harriet Tubman. I have not seen the movie. I will have to tell you that, but I do plan on seeing it because I understand there's some powerful actors in the play, and she played a powerful role. But unfortunately, she played a powerful role that was not of the African American race, but of the Nigerian perspective. And if you know anything about Yoruba, like I do, the Yoruba Benin people think the same way. They have a certain concept that they believe that certain things must happen because of the culture. If you don't know the culture, you cannot very well tell the story. So who decided upon this? Now, once again, was it somebody attempting to distort our story by throwing a monkey wrench in it? Well, you certainly didn't do that. You probably got a lot of people informed about this great actress who I'm sure acts very well and has the ability to do a great job in acting, but she sure wasn't the number one pick for this particular movie. And that's where we're begging the difference with those who were the actual theatrical directors and who decided to feature this play. Every year there's a black slave movie coming out about us with somebody else telling the story from their perspective. Well, let's get things straight. We're practicing Kuji Chajalia. We can name for ourselves and define for ourselves who our enemies might be, but we certainly want to tell our own story. And we can't go along constantly making people think that because they're Caucasians, they could tell our story. No, they can't tell our story. And they should be telling our story. And sometimes they're in error with the story that they're telling. And I want to say, okay, I thought somebody was over there. Let me send a little emoji, a little face or something. A little happy face or something. Okay. Now, once again, you've got your Omi here, and I am trying to figure out how to get people in this room to talk. And YouTube, I have not grasped how to use this new YouTube setup to bring people in to let them know I'm on the air. Why don't you give me the 2 thumbs up Go and tell someone that I'm on the air. And all of those who would be followers, come on out and become a follower. Those of you who are a friend, I'd like for you to convert over to becoming followers, giving me 2 thumbs up, and subscribing to my channel. Yes, that's right. Subscribing to my channel. We're talking about the movie that is being broadcast for Harriet Tubman, telling her story by an African actress. And it's unfortunate that I don't know of this young lady. I don't know if I can say anything negative about her because I haven't followed her career. And I won't do her any justice by putting her down. What I am saying is that an African American who's been through slavery, has slavery in their heritage, would be a better candidate for telling our story. But for someone coming out of the diaspora as a Nigerian, she knows another whole servitude slavery, but not chattel slavery. There's a difference, ladies and gentlemen, and we must know that. There's a difference. And I did come on these airways to see what any of you had to say about this catastrophe. It's a major catastrophe, if you ask me. It could have been done differently, and we could have had somebody else like Angela Bassett play the role of Harriet, or Mary J. Blige, somebody with a spiffy attitude and that was determined and bound and had been through some struggles. I mean, somebody that could bring a little music to it. We don't know if Harriet sung or not. Hold on a little while longer. Hold on, oh, a little while longer. Hold on a little while longer. Freedom is on its way. Oh, I said fight on. Oh, a little while longer. Fight on. Oh, a little while longer. Fight on. A little while longer. Freedom is on its way. They didn't know if they should book this particular theatrical drama with a solo artist. They could have very well brought in someone that was a solo artist like Jennifer Hutchins, where she could have came in and sang her way through the hearts of the people. But we definitely cannot get a person that is not esteemed by anyone here in America, that knows of her acting. It is unfair to those good actors who have been performing for a lot of time, a long time, who could very well have fit the call for that particular theatrical play. And I think every year they're perturbing blacks more and more about who we once were, about the fact that we're just a little Negro girl and we'll always be a slave. No, we've come up from slavery, and we cannot stay in that particular status of a slave. We cannot continue to call ourselves recuperating slaves, because truly we have come up from slavery. And there's a new high-tech lynching type of slavery that does not compare to the chattel slavery. We're fighting a different type of slavery. And maybe if somebody who was a Nigerian wanted to come up and depict what African Americans are going through now in the way of being in prison, I don't think she would want to play that role, because she don't see that as part of our struggle. But imprisonment is an extension of slavery. As a matter of fact, it's the new slavery. If you are indubitably convicted of a crime, then you can be put back into slavery. She might not know anything about that. She might not know that a lot of African people don't realize that African Americans are being put back into slavery just as we speak here today by virtue of being put into prison. Now, if she had to play that role, I think she would plead out and step aside and let somebody else handle that role, because truly it is an extension of slavery and it still exists today. But when you don't know the history and the story of the African Americans, you won't know what we've gone through or what we potentially are going through now. And I think the young lady needs to spend some time on The View or in a setting of a group of Black women for them to test her, to see what her real experience has been, and to see if she realized what she just did to the African American woman when she stepped up and requested to play Harriet. Harriet is one of our historical figures, and that's the only reason why I decided to channel her. She's a historical figure that I taught about in my classroom. And little did I know that the story that we were depicting is a lie, and that Harriet was really a conductor of an underground railroad where they had the underground carriers that were taking African Americans to and fro cities and removing them from their jobs when they no longer wanted to be contracted. There was the train that was being conducted underground where they would actually have conductors that had trains that were off hours that the actual aboriginers were able to conduct the train, and they had to make sure that they didn't lose any passengers. Now remember, Harriet said she never lost a passenger and that she was conducting the railroad. So she really was underground conducting the railroad, taking African American people to and from different cities, with them escaping from their present contracted job where they were right out of slavery. They were in the Jim Crow law, and they were actually held to these contracts, and they wanted to get out. So here it was a conductor that led them out of those contracts. Now, this is what I heard that was really going on, and that as far as a real uh, conductor and train, that there weren't any, that these slaves were not on this caravan trying to escape slavery. They were trying to escape these jobs that they had, that various different people had them under. They had them under contract, and they did not want to be under contract, and they wanted to get out of the contract, and they found a way to have conductors lead them out of the general area and lead them out of the cities that they were locked in under these contracts. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that's just the story that I heard. So I question, what story are they really telling? Is this a true story about Harriet Tubman? Or is there other stories that have not yet been told? Then why don't we research the topic and tell our own story? And if it was with Harriet conducting the people in the coal mines, and you must remember there were trains down underground in the coal mine, and they had conductors, and they lent their coal mine trains out. And I understand Harriet was one that frequently drove the train to deliver people to other parts of the city where they could not be seen on the regular train. They could escape that way and get out of their contract. Now, I don't know how far-fetched that sounds, but truly that is one of the schools of thought. But I want us to be able to be proud of what our Aboriginals did do for us, and what gain they made, and how they stood strong in the face of advertisement, and how they literally made a difference for those ancestors of ours to escape and to leave slavery. I want to believe that Harriet was one of the ones that led them to their freedom, but at the same time, I want to also know the truth. was Harriet conducting one of these underground trains that were normally used to bring brothers and sisters out of their contracts so that they can flee their contract and their master's bidding. So I want to say that we ought to be able to have a discussion about this and to talk about it intelligently about what we're going to do. I think we should see the movie, not necessarily boycott it. I think we should create our own set of, of actors and actresses and create something in our own community to talk about Harriet Tubman, or either do the one woman show. That's what I'm going to do to fight back. Continue to do one woman show so that Harriet can tell her own story and from her perspective, because I think she should. And I'd like to thank you for listening to the sound of my voice. And for those of you who might be listening and cannot get in, I've been trying to pull you in. Go out and do sign up to become a follower, and make sure you go out and subscribe to my channel. I would definitely appreciate that. Give me the 2 thumbs up. Go ahead. It's okay. I thought I'd come on tonight to speak to you on behalf of Harriet Tubman and the dispute over who should play Harriet Tubman. Is it an African American woman who knows the suffering of slavery, or is it a native African from Nigeria? You be the judge of that. Oh, double and Baba Booey to you, y'all. And there was 2 books that I was going to be referencing to, and we're going to talk more about that next time. And that's The True Power of Water, Healing and Discovering Ourselves, and The Secret Life of Water. There is a secret life in water. And since this year we're going to be featuring health and medicinal health and alternative health, I'm going to be doing a lot of talking about alternative products and pharmaceutical things in our kitchen. Last week I talked about the saga molasses. And if you haven't seen my show, go and check it out on the allied health and alternative products and the pharmaceutical products in your kitchen. I talked a little bit about CBD and hemp oil and how it is an all-time medicinal that can actually support all aspects of your blood sugar level and the high blood pressure levels, as well as making sure that it balances your body. Go out and read about hemp. You can pull it up on your computer. But I will be talking about water and hydrogenated water, alkaline water. And lo and behold, I did find out that the hydrogenated water had shelf life, and therefore it had to have some chemicals put in it to preserve it on the shelf. But we have to look at getting water that is hydrogenated and alkaline from magnetic forces. And we'll be talking more about what type of magnetic forces. How do you charge the hydrated water or the alkaline water? And can these alkaline pH balance be used to offset cancer, to eradicate cancer? We're not going to use the word cure because we're not trying to cure anybody, and we're not trying to get the FDA involved with investigating anyone. We will not be using the word cure. We'll be talking about eradicating to give you a better alternative so that you can start treating the condition. So we're going to be talking more about water, how to select your waters. And this book is by Masayu Miyoto. Masayu Miyoto. And that's a Chinese name. I'm sure you picked that up. But the main thing, we want to stay healthy. And as we age, we want to make sure we get to that gym and thoroughly work it out. And some of you are suffering from congestive heart failure. A lot of you might not know that some of your silver sneaker programs that has a gymnasium might even have a cardiac lab where you can go in and you can actually get therapeutic help from your cardiology specialist. Now, the reason for me talking on health is because I am pushing for people to take my Foundations of Science class, which is the medical terminology and anatomy. And we're pushing for that program so that we will have a training program. I do have the material all put together now for the training class, and that's going to involve a provider that does claim processing as well as coding, so that you can have a skill of processing Part B Medicare claims and as well as doing the coding as well. Now, I'll be able to tell you more about that. I'll probably include it in my next segment tomorrow. I'll be showing the actual kit that I will be marketing for those trainers who would like to do a review for learning how to process a claim as well as coding. And that's ICD-10-CM. Now, if you don't have these two great books, please go out and get them. I've had these books for a while, and I've done some teaching on these books, and these are excellent books. And water sure is a great dehydrator. And most of us are hydrated. Most of us are dehydrated and are lacking hydration. That's why when we go into the hospital, we usually have to have an IV to hydrate the blood and the body. So we're going to talk more about the waters that can hydrate us. Now, I told you about a couple of pH balance and alkaline balance, but they were actually put on a shelf with a lot of chemicals and shelf life. But I was just informed that you can get your water hydrated through using magnets, and the magnets can help hydrate them, which is a natural way. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to me this evening, and you've been listening to Maddie Harvey's Baby Sister. I am Omi Inca 7 and Tribe, and this is Omi Inca's production studio. And pretty soon I'll be able to carry you back to my studio. We're putting some things together in the studio so that I can get back to the matter at hand, and that is what I love to do: voiceovers and storytelling and singing. That is really what I want to do. I don't want to be in here talking all the time, but I want to be on some little makeshift stage that you'll be able to see shortly that I put together, and you'll be able to hear me in full strength. So I want to say to those listeners out there who might be trying to get in, Omi says, hey, how are you? And give me the 2 thumbs up. Go out and become a member. Go out and subscribe to my channel. I do request your support so that I can get those numbers up. And once again, I'll be on again tomorrow. So it'll probably be around 9:30 or so, or 10, you can catch me on. But for all of those who are going to see that movie, don't let me deter you. Go out and see that movie. Make your own decision and your own judgment of what you think of the acting, as well as whether or not the story comes across as being valid and true, and whether or not the young lady did it justice. Now, be fair with her. Give her the 2 thumbs up if she did the doggone thing and she killed the thing and she acted to the part. But all of this nonsense about adding a black headhunter in there who was actually out looking for Harriet, please point out that that's a lie and it shouldn't be in there, because there were no black slave recruiters who were out doing bounty hunting work that I know of. Now, you had a lot of resurrectionists, and we got to start resurrecting all those men and women who did us justice and who were in the front line, who were fighting for us. And then we can tell our own story. So how about it, people? Thank you so very much for joining me this evening. And you've been listening to Maddie Harvey's Baby Sister. And I am so glad that you joined us. And I'll soon ask for you to join me on Blog Talk Radio Station. But you can join me on Streaker. I'll be back on Blog Talk Radio Station shortly, and we're going to bring about a whole series on health and wellness. We're going to be talking about the CBD product, and I'll be bringing on guests to feature the discussion on that topic so that you can find out where to purchase your CBD and hemp oil. And there are many different types of hemp oil. So we're going to be breaking down all the different types and looking at some scientific equations and understanding what CBD does exactly. So I want you to, I think on Veterans Day, I might be on the air talking about CBD for veterans and trying to employ the veterans about the benefit it has for any individual that might have an illness that needs to maintain a substance that's going to help them eradicate bad feelings. And once again, please remember that we are what we eat. And also remember that I love you and ain't nothing you can do about it. And you must try to find it within your heart to love somebody. And I come on this show so I can meet and greet those who are in need of a conversation, who are in need to hear a soothing voice that basically is speaking out on our behalf as a Black people. So it's important that you do come and check out my show, support me. Getting up in age now, and sometimes it get a little hard to get on these radio shows, but nevertheless, I have perfected them, and I'll be out there up front talking about what concerns us. And don't forget to tune in and set that dial to come to the Omi's production studio tomorrow. You can find me here between 9 and 10. So I say, oh, double and Baba Booey to y'all. And don't forget to go out and get your books, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to be talking on these books. Thank you. Oh, double.
Everything's gonna be fine. Hey, you want to hear my super nerdy theory about how your powers work?